guys, Ray from Kinsmen here. Had a suggestion to do a video about slide playing, so I wanted to share some of my knowledge with you and hopefully further you on your journey to playing slide. So two things I want to just kind of get out of the way before we started on the lesson. Slide playing originated from these pedal steel players, and there's two problems that we are going to encounter as guitar players that they didn't have to encounter. The first thing, this is my lap steel. It's not really a pedal steel, but it's close enough. Good for the visual. So steel players use this thing called a tone bar, and they hold it. And if you see my hands when I'm playing, you can notice that my hand is perfectly straight with the frets. All right. So with guitar playing, we're playing like this. So already we're at a loss because our hand is not going to be perfectly straight and flush with the frets. So number one thing. The second thing is that the strings are really high off the pedal steel or the steel guitar. So they don't really have to worry about how much pressure they're putting down on the guitar when they're playing. I'm speaking for myself, but I kind of like medium to low action, and that could present a problem with playing slide. So a couple things just to get you guys started. All right, guys, we're going to be looking at 4 slides today. A glass slide, a chrome slide, a brass slide, and my favorite, which you heard at the beginning of the track, a ceramic slide. They all have different qualities, and we're going to kind of explore those in the next section. First one we're going to look at is the ceramic slide, and I really wanted to talk to you about 4 different things. We'll take each one with a different slide. First things first, let's talk about placement. I've seen a few people put the slide on their pinky, and if that works, totally good. I've seen a few people put on different fingers. The finger that works for me the most is the middle finger, and I don't put it all the way down, only because I think you lose some of the actual ability to use that finger. So put it about halfway down, right there where that second knuckle is, and this allows you to use your other fingers. All right, so let's take a listen to what this sounds like. Here we go. All right, so the ceramic slide has a lot of sustain, and it's really easy to move around on. It's really slick. One of the things you gotta watch out for is that they're rather heavy. They're the heaviest of the slides that I'm gonna check out. So give that a shot and see if you like it. Also, when you have the slide on your finger, when you're using it, use these 2 fingers to kind of stabilize it, because if not, you're gonna get a lot of motion and moving around if your slide isn't perfectly fitted to your finger. All right, let's take a look at the chrome slide. All right, so chrome slide, it's a lot brighter of a slide. It also doesn't come in many different sizes. It fits my middle finger. It may just fit your little pinky finger. But let's listen to it and see how it sounds. So I don't really notice as much warmth to it. It's definitely a bitey sound. But if you notice, it has a really strong attack. And that's caused by it being just a super hard material. Now, let's talk about one thing while we have the slide here, and that's intonation. So as we know, our hand is not going to be completely flat against the board when we play. Usually we have the guitar at an angle, so we're gonna have to deal with that angle. The easiest way to kind of check yourself and make sure that you're right on intonation, is right on par, is to kind of use your ear, play a scale. And just practice your scales, just like you would with your fingers. You know, when we started playing guitar, our fingers were a little bit wonky and in different places. And just like learning our scales with our fingers, we're going to have to learn our scales with our slide. So kind of check that out. And you should be able to play pretty easily with the slide, the scale up and down. All right, so that was the chrome slide. Let's check out the brass slide. And I want to talk about some muting. Now, muting is really important to playing slide. And what I mean by muting is if you do not use your fingers to mute when you play, you're going to get a lot of this. You get a lot of ghost notes and a lot of just kind of sounds kind of sloppy. Right? You can hear a couple of their strings ringing. And the way I mute is I use my first finger to mute, but I use a lot of my thumb and a lot of my other fingers. So when you see me playing, so this one's not as bright as the chrome slide, but it's definitely doesn't have the sustain that you're used to with the chrome slide. Getting back to the muting part. So I use my thumb to mute these few strings and my two middle fingers to mute the rest of the strings. I use mostly my first finger to pick, but when I'm using multiple strings on a passage, like that little ghost note, I'll use all three of my fingers and I'll just use the side of my thumb to mute those. So give that a shot. All right, so that was the brass slide. Last but not least, check out this glass slide. And I picked this glass slide because it's the lightest of all of them. The lightest also equals the most delicate. So if you really want a slide that's going to be resilient, definitely check out these steel slides rather than a ceramic or a glass. This would break my heart if I broke it, just because it's been around me for a long time and I love the way it feels. This one too, I usually don't take this one out, but I picked this one so that I could talk about vibrato. Now, vibrato is kind of like your voice with slide. If you have a very erratic vibrato like this, well, it's going to sound kind of weird. It's not going to translate well. But if you can tame the vibrato and teach yourself to be expressive with the vibrato, it's really going to take your slide playing to like a whole nother level. So if you're playing a passage, you can really use the vibrato to add dynamics, to add inflection to your playing, and that's what really sets apart slide players. The people that really work hard at slide have a real nice, even vibrato, and they can really be expressive with it, whereas the people that are not really working on their slide playing are going to have that really erratic vibrato. And you know, some people like George Thorogood, he does his own thing, but if you want an example of really erratic vibrato, he uses a lot of that. So let's listen to this glass slide and see what it sounds like as compared to the rest. I really like the glass slide. It's getting towards that warm characteristics of the ceramic, but it just doesn't have the sustain that I like, like the ceramic does. So those are the 4 slides. One last thing to keep in mind when you're playing is you want to be right behind the fret. Right behind the fret when you play, just like you're playing guitar with your fingers, all right? Same thing you want to keep in mind. Right behind the fret. If you overshoot something, just kind of add a little vibrato and it'll kind of cover some stuff up. really easy to do. But anyway, if you have any questions, if you want me to elaborate on any of these concepts, go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment box, and give us a like and a follow, and we'll talk to you guys soon.